Hey everybody, today we have some incredible deals to go through together, and they're all at brand new lows. Then at the end I'll include some other great deals that, while not at new lows, are still great pickups for your Nintendo Switch this weekend. Now we'll start with games under $5 and work our way up, but I'll keep them all budget friendly as always. I hope you all are enjoying great food, wonderful company, and fun games. Thanks as always for hanging out, and if you enjoy the video, the best way to support the channel is hit that like button, and hopefully I can earn a subscription today if you're new. Alright, let's go ahead and dive in. Stay safe, my friends. Alright, we'll start today with Crossing Souls, which is a single-player top-down adventure title with a retro look and sound. It has a download around 3.2 gigs and offers roughly 9 to 10 hours of gameplay on average. It's a story about time travel and takes place in the 80s, revolving around 5 main characters, all of which play a bit differently from one another, and you can swap between them on the fly. In fact, you'll actually need to do this pretty often to take out different enemies or solve the random puzzles. If you're interested in Crossing Souls, you can pick it up on sale this weekend for just $2.24, marked down 85% to a new low, and the deal ends on the 26th. Redeemer the Enhanced Edition is a top-down brawler with a download around 3.6 gigs, and it offers local co-op for up to 2 players. Now the main story should take roughly 7 to 8 hours to complete, and it features some incredibly brutal combat, offering a wide variety of cool melee and ranged weapons, plus it has some cool executions you can pull off as well. The story is compelling, the game controls well, and the ability to play with friends is always a bonus. Right now you can pick up Redeemer the Enhanced Edition at a new low of just $2.99, marked down 80% until the 26th. Up next we have Void Scrappers, which is another indie title that's aiming to recapture the magic of Vampire Survivors, and this time they've added a sci-fi twist into it. The game has a download around 350 megabytes, and you can expect dozens of hours of gameplay, as these can be pretty addictive. Now with this one you get 12 playable characters, and overall it feels much faster than most games in the genre, and the pilots you can pick between also have different weapons and starter abilities, so you'll want to find your favorite as you work to unlock all of the extras that are available in the game. Right now you can pick up Void Scrappers for just $3.19, marked down 20% until the 3rd of May. Up next we have Grim Valor, which is an amazing 2D action RPG with a 1 gig download and a story that should last players more than 10 hours to wrap up. It has great controls, fast action, fun combat, and they even offer a new game plus for added replay value. Now in this one we set out to discover what happened to our lost king while fighting off an invasion as we work through the castle. It's a surprisingly deep game with upgrades, secrets, and tons of content, and right now it's on sale for just $3.89, a new low until the 26th. Up next we have 9 Monkeys of Shaolin, which is a cooperative beat 'em up with both local and online play for 2 people at a time. It has a 4 gig download and offers roughly 5 to 10 hours of gameplay. Now the game has more than 20 awesome levels to punch and kick your way through, and it has unlockable buffs, items, and even new fighting styles as well. On top of that, it has a gorgeous presentation here on the Switch, and it controls and feels great. Right now it's on sale for just $3.99, marked down 80% until the 26th. Next we have Slipstream, which is a multiplayer racer with a retro-inspired look and sound to it, and it has a small download just under 360 megabytes. Now the game also has local co-op for up to 4 players and offers plenty of variety and replayability to justify the price. You have races from all over the world, a couple of cool mechanics you can use including the slipstream and rewind abilities, plus the game runs great here on the Switch. If you enjoy a good retro racer, be sure to check this one out before the sale ends on the 26th. Right now it's marked down 55% to a new low of just $4.49. Golf Story is a unique RPG from Sidebar Games that combines the sport of golf with traditional mechanics you'd find in a top-down retro RPG or adventure title, and then mixes them up a bit, and the result was one of the better indie titles that we had as players early on here on the Switch. Now the story revolves around a golfer forced to sacrifice everything to fulfill his dreams, and it gives the player a fully fleshed out story and RPG with some fun mechanics. It has a download around 1.3 gigs and should take roughly 15 to 20 hours to wrap up, and right now you can pick it up for just $4.99, marked down nearly 70%, and the deal ends again on the 26th. Kaze and the Wild Masks is a gorgeous single-player platform adventure title with a download around 1 gig and a story that should last roughly 7 to 8 hours to wrap up. Now the game looks and feels like classic platformers from the 90s and features more than 80 levels including bonus stages, plus it has a cool mask mechanic that allows you to use different abilities as you progress through. Right now it's on sale for just $4.99, marked down 83% to a brand new low, and this is the first time we've seen the game under $5, so I highly recommend picking it up this weekend. The deal ends again on the 26th. Narita Boy is a single-player strategy adventure game with a download just over 900 megabytes, and it offers roughly 7 to 8 hours of main story gameplay. Now it takes place in the 80s and the story is incredibly deep. It deals with some heavy issues but in a unique way. When you combine that with the graphics, it makes for a very strange and one-of-a-kind experience. Now the platforming and controls feel great, and there's a surprising amount of action as well. Plus you get new skills and unlockables along the way too, and if you're interested in Narita Boy, be sure to pick it up before the sale ends on May 6th. Right now it's on sale for just $4.99, again a new low and finally under $5. Next we have Ash of Gods Redemption. This is a single player strategy RPG with a story that presents more like a graphic novel than anything else. Now the combat is something akin to games like Final Fantasy Tactics with grid-based movement and turn-based attacks, and it offers more than 20 hours of gameplay on average, with a download around 4.3 gigs. Now during the story you'll play as 3 different protagonists, each fighting off their own version of the Reaping, which threatens to wipe out all of humankind. This is another game that gives tons of content to the player, and when you can get it at a new low of just $3.99, it's definitely worth checking out. The deal ends again on the 26th. A Short Hike is a memorable single-player adventure title with a gorgeous pixelated art style and an immersive soundtrack. In addition, the characters you meet are unique and you genuinely want to complete the different objectives they ask for help with. Now as you play through, you'll find different secrets or items that you can use, and you'll increase your ability to get around by either climbing or gliding. It's definitely a peaceful game that's focused on exploration, and the only real downside is that it's only about an hour to an hour and a half long, but it will stick with you for sure. Right now it's on sale for $5.19, marked down 35% until the 26th. Greek Memories of Azure is a gorgeous single-player puzzle platformer with a download around 1.6 gigs, and it offers an emotional story that should last roughly 8 to 9 hours to wrap up. Now the unique feature with this one is that the game allows you and at times requires you to play as multiple different characters at one time. It is very creative, and while it may take a few minutes to get the hang of it, once you do you'll start naturally working out the puzzles and getting around the levels in no time. On top of that, the combat is fun and the controls feel great, so it's never a chore to play either. Right now you can pick this gem up for $5.99, marked down 70% to a new low, and the deal ends on the 6th. Up next we have Samurai Bringer, which is a single-player top-down roguelike with a download around 370 megabytes, and it offers about 10 hours of main story gameplay. Now in this one we play as an exiled god, and thus as you progress through, you unlock different abilities that were lost upon being punished. The game is surprisingly deep with a ton of abilities that you can switch in and out after unlocking them, and this adds a ton of variety to how you choose to tackle each situation. The graphics and sound design are pretty solid, and it runs well here on the Switch. Right now you can pick it up for just $6.99, again a new low until the 26th. Ocean's Heart is a single-player action RPG that was heavily inspired by the Super Nintendo classic, A Link to the Past. The game has a download around 310 megabytes, and the main story will last more than 10 hours to finish up. The retro aesthetic and top-down view take you right back to the 16-bit days, and fans of the genre will recognize items and puzzle concepts right away. The world is massive and each zone is connected to the next. Some areas will require special items to reach, or you might need to hire someone to give you a ride to a remote island on a boat or something like that. And the dungeons were a highlight, of course, with the boss battles at the end being really fun. Right now you can pick it up for just $7.49, which is a steal at half price, and the deal ends on the 26th. Up next we have Wolfstride, which is a single-player RPG that follows a group of misfits and criminals given the opportunity to clear their past by winning a mech combat tournament. The download is just over 5 gigs, and your runtime will vary quite a bit depending on how quickly you pick up the different mechanics that are at play here. Now the gameplay is split between 2 different sections. You have the mech combat, which is a ton of fun, and then you have the 2D exploration segments, which were a nice change of pace in between the battles. The dialogue does have a comedic tone overall, and it hits sometimes while missing at others, and if you're interested in this one, be sure to pick it up before the sale ends on the 26th. It's just $7.49 right now, again a new low. Europa is a unique single-player puzzle-style adventure game with a download around 1 gig, and it features a pretty cool mechanic where you can walk around the different sections of this broken city, defying gravity and solving puzzles, but if you happen to make the wrong step off of a ledge, gravity will return, sending you falling into the clouds. Now the main character is customizable, and that can be pretty fun to play around with, but for the most part I just tried to work through the story without really worrying about it, as the character never really has much personality anyway. If you're interested in Europa, it's on sale at half price until the 26th, bringing it down to just $7.49. Up next we have Hyper 5, which is a single-player arcade shooter here on the Switch, and it has a download around 1.4 gigs. It offers 2 different ways to play, one basically being story mode, which is much easier and great for beginners, or you can go with the more advanced difficulty made for experienced players. On top of that, it has a pretty cool presentation with levels that can provide genuine moments of excitement, and they're full of enemies, so you're always given something to do with little downtime in between. It also incentivizes replaying through the levels in order to complete all the different objectives, which will reward points that you can spend to upgrade weapons or other things to make the game even more fun and a bit less grindy. Right now you can pick it up for just $7.99, a new low until the 2nd. Scourgebringer is a single-player 2D action platformer, and it offers roughly 9 to 10 hours of gameplay with a download around 390 megabytes. Now this game is ultra challenging, and fans of true video game punishment will fall in love. As far as the roguelike genre goes, this game is a must play at least once. The controls are amazing, the game looks gorgeous on the Switch, and the soundtrack was top notch. The dungeons are procedurally generated and the boss battles are absolutely fantastic, and if you enjoy a good challenge, definitely check out Scourgebringer before the sale ends on the 27th. It's marked down to half price, making it $8.49, and again a new low. Dying Light: The Definitive Edition is a first-person action-adventure title with both local and online multiplayer options, and it joins the list of impossible ports here on the Switch. It's impressive how well it runs, and while some graphical downgrades were made, of course, that never takes away from the experience even if you played on other consoles. Now this version includes all of the DLC and bonuses that have been added since release, and even though the start of the game is a bit slow, the payoff for pushing through the 30+ hour story is well worth it. At the core, it's a zombie shooter with an emphasis on exploration and parkouring around these different areas, while giving the player a story that does enough to push you forward all the way through. It does run at a higher resolution in docked mode, but it remains pretty stable at 720 in handheld and maintains a smooth frame rate. This is definitely my deal of the week at just $9.99. It's marked down 80% to a new low, and the deal ends on the 4th. Bot Gaiden is an amazing action platformer from East Asia Soft with a download around 1.1 gigs, and the game is pretty difficult, so you can expect to get several hours before wrapping it up. It offers players a wide variety of cool moves that you can pull off or upgrades to find as you blast your way through the stages, which of course you can take on in any order that you prefer, similar to the old Mega Man games, and clearly that was the inspiration behind a lot of the game. It also has 2-player local co-op as well, and right now it's on sale for just $10.49, marked down 30% to a new low, and the deal ends on the 26th. Superhot is a unique single-player, first-person puzzle shooter with a download around 3 gigs, and it offers about 5 to 6 hours of gameplay for your first playthrough. It does have a ton of replay value, as you can always find a way to optimize each run, and in general, it's just a fun style of gameplay, where time stops when you stop, and only resumes whenever you move or look around. Now the mission is simple: take out all of the bad guys and move on. The fun comes from figuring out how to survive each different wave and attack. If you're interested in Superhot, be sure to pick it up before the sale ends on the 23rd at midnight. It's marked down 55% to $11.24, a brand new low. Next we have the Zombie Army Trilogy, which is a collection of third-person action-adventure titles from Rebellion Interact. It has a download around 5 gigs and offers players dozens of hours of intense gameplay for a nice low price. You can take the games online or play in local co-op as well, which is always a nice addition, and once you finish the main games you can even extend the playtime with the Endless Horde mode, which will surely test your skills you've learned while playing. In addition, the game offers you a choice of 8 playable characters with customizable loadouts, and the X-ray cam is intact in all of its glory. Right now you can pick this up for just $11.89, marked down 66% to a brand new low, and the deal ends on the 26th. Agent Intercept is a single-player arcade-style action game with a download around 2 gigs, and it follows a secret group called the Agency as they battle it out with a criminal organization called the Claw. Now the game is basically a mix of fast-paced racing and on-rail shooting, presented almost like an action movie in a lot of ways, with cinematic moments scattered throughout the stages. Each mission you set out with the main objective as well as a few bonus objectives, and the story is fully voice acted, which does make the characters feel a bit more memorable, plus the soundtrack is outstanding. The game also has a ton of replay value as it's a score chaser, so you'll be able to hop back in and of course try to beat your previous high scores at any time. Right now you can pick it up for just $12.99, a new low again until the 26th. Next we have Sniper Elite 4, which is another amazing deal this weekend, once again from Rebellion Interact, and again it offers both online and local multiplayer options. This time though, the game is more about taking a strategic approach to each mission and trying to remain undetected as much as you can. Now it's set in Italy during World War II and features absolutely gigantic levels, allowing you to really take advantage of your long-range weapons, and of course the X-ray cam is here once again with all of its glory. The Switch version also has gyro controls for aiming as well as HD rumble to help you feel the impact of firing or taking damage, and if you haven't played yet, it's just $13.59, or you can get the deluxe version with a ton of DLC for $20.39. Either way, the deal ends on the 26th. Vengeful Guardian Moonrider is a single-player action platformer with a truly retro look and feel to it. It has a download around 200 megabytes and gives the players 8 different stages to tackle, again in whatever order you prefer, and each boss will provide the player with a new power-up to use for the rest of the game. What's really cool is that each of the 8 stages has its own gimmick or playstyle, and they change things up enough to keep it feeling fresh throughout the roughly 3-hour story. It has an amazing 16-bit look and even gives the player different modifiers that you can unlock, which adds things like taking less damage, or if you're crazy you can even turn on the one-hit kills so every enemy becomes incredibly dangerous. I highly recommend picking this one up. It's on sale for just $13.59, again a new low until the 26th. Next we have Beacon Pines, which is a single-player narrative-driven puzzler with a download around 1.1 gigs, and it offers roughly 5 to 6 hours of main story. Now in this one we play as 2 characters, both the reader of the story and the main character found within that story, and while it does give you some different choices to make throughout, ultimately they all lead the player to the same ending, even if it takes a few different routes to get there. Now that's not to say there aren't a few surprises to be found throughout, and of course it has a gorgeous art style. It is a simple game, but it's great for what it's trying to be, and it's an enjoyable experience. Right now you can pick it up for just $13.99, marked down 30% until the 26th. Disco Elysium: The Final Cut is a single-player RPG that was ported here to the Switch, and it offers a sprawling story that could last 30 or more hours to complete. Now the story in the Final Cut edition is fully voice acted, which does add a lot, and the Switch version includes the touch controls for those that like to play on the go. Now as far as the gameplay, the game allows you to play more heroically or just sort of go around being a bully, and the dialogue choices really feel like they make a difference. At the start of each game, you get to pick between a few different personality types or a mashup of your own. It's a fantastic port and well worth the price while on sale. Right now you can pick it up at a new low of just $13.99, marked down 65% until the 24th. Arrowheart is another retro-inspired single-player top-down adventure title that should last nearly 20 hours, and it has a small download under half a gig. Now again, fans of A Link to the Past, this is another game you'll love. It borrows a ton of mechanics and even items you'd find there, and then throws the player into a much more open world, which you can explore right from the start. Now of course there are things that will be blocking certain paths or areas that you'll need to find different gadgets or spells to access, and the combat feels very familiar to older Zelda games, but there are a few drawbacks that you can feel from it having a much smaller budget. At full price, I normally wouldn't recommend the game, it's a little too high, but right now you can pick it up with a 63% discount, bringing it down to $14.99, a new low until the 26th. Next we have Chained Echoes, which is a massive single-player JRPG with a download around 1 gig, offering players a story that could last more than 40 hours to complete. The pixel art graphics are next level for a non-AAA title with animations that almost rival games like Octopath Traveler 2. Now in this one we follow a small group of adventurers on a quest to restore peace and put an end to a war that's been raging on for quite a while. The battles are turn-based, but I do have to note that the random battles have been removed for those that find that a bit tedious, and of course the world is huge and encourages exploration. Sadly, the game doesn't have any voice acting, but if you're okay with reading instead, this is an RPG well worth your time. Right now it's on sale for just $21.24, marked down 15% until the 26th, bringing it to a brand new low here on the Switch. Alright everybody, here are a few other games to check out while you're already on the eShop. Alright everybody, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you'd like to support the channel, please drop a like down below, and if you're new here, I hope we earned a click on that subscribe button. And if you made it this far anyway, why not join the crew? Either way though, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe, my friends.